Howdy, folks, and happy solstice. It's the winter solstice today, December 21st, 2019, and it's the day when we have the least amount of daylight. And the sun rose about 6:37 this morning. Well, the first light, 6:37, and the last light will be about 4:50 today. We'll have about 9 hours and 6 minutes or so of light, of sunshine, and yeah, and I mentioned before, this is a time of year, especially in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's summer for you, and you're in the middle of that. But for us, it's the first day of winter in the northern hemisphere, and in a lot of cultures, this was, as I mentioned before, this was a time of introspection as you went into winter, and a welcoming back of the light, of the sun days getting slightly longer every day. But I want to take some time and talk about some traditions that maybe you can start, or some process you can get involved in the wintertime. It's a time of introspection in many cultures, especially in the north when it was dark for long periods of time. In some places the sun wouldn't even come up except for brief periods of time. And so it's an opportunity to do a little inner reflection. And one of the traditions in many cultures, and not just indigenous cultures, but around the world. And when I say traditional cultures or indigenous ones, I don't just mean Native Americans or Aboriginals or Bush people. In many northern communities, before kind of colonization by Romans and those things, this time of winter was a time of inspection, and you hear in some Norwegian places the concept of hygge, of that winter comfort, inner reflection, those types of things, and we often hear about it in the West in a more native traditions, and here in Massachusetts where I live, on Wampanoag and Massachusetts land, and there's the time of the longhouse where people are in for long periods of time, and while we hear about that most here in the States, a lot of European cultures, original cultures, had that. This time of year, I think about the Druids at Stonehenge and other cultures like that. The winter was a special time of celebration. And so one quick thing, this is also a time of gathering stories. Your stories of the past year, what you've done. Maybe the things you didn't do, although I find it easier to focus on the positive stuff, at least to start with. You'll have plenty of time for shadows as the winter progresses. But gather your own stories, whether it's in a journal, whether it's talking to friends. Maybe take this time and set up phone calls with folks or chats where you can share your stories of the past year, your successes, your journey. Sometimes it can be a little rushed if you're with family and you're only together for a day or two or a little bit, and trying to really connect, and don't rush it. Take some time and shake off the road dust when you first meet each other, and relax and get comfortable. You'll feel that shift, and share some stories, your successes, the things you're dreaming about, and the things you're looking forward to. It's an important time of year to do that, and really take some time. For me, I journal a lot. And I have some online communities that I gather with, and we share our stories and what we're looking forward to do. And in the camp community, it's a time of camp conferences coming up, where we share our hopes and our visions and our dreams for the little ones that we work with and the not so little ones. But it's a time of gathering stories, and make sure you create that container, that space for that to happen, whether it's around a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or baked goods, some cookies, those kind of things. And no matter what you're celebrating this time of year, whether it's solstice or Hanukkah or Christmas or Kwanzaa, or another tradition, make sure you make some time for stories and to gather those. And it's important. In this digital age, oral history can be really important in sharing those stories and those traditions. So happy solstice. Have a wonderful day. Be back soon, and enjoy.